Welcome. Today's topic of our discussion is presuppositions of Indian philosophy. In order to clarify this topic, we have distinguished several concepts. Concept 1, karma, concept 2, moksha, and the last but not least concept is named as the Dharma. Okay, let's start with the first concept. What is karma? What can we say about the etymology of this concept? Etymology of this concept is related to the verbal root kr. It is a Sanskrit word and can be translated as act, bring about, do, and so on. And originally, karma referred to correct performance of ritualistic activity with a view to receiving the desired results. It was believed that if a ritual is duly performed, nobody, not even divinities, could stop the desired results. On the other hand, any mistake in the performance of rituals, say a word mispronounced, will give rise to undesired results. Thus, a correct action was a right action. But this meaning changed in the later historical periods, and eventually karma acquired a larger meaning and came to signify any correct action having ethical implications. For example, any act, irrespective of its nature, or it can be related to a moral act, especially in the accepted ritualistic sense, or it can be clarified as the accumulated results of all actions. Underlying this sense is the idea that a person by acting, creates something and shapes his or her destiny. And what can we say about the karma as a single principle? In this context, we can say that karma is based on the single principle that no cause goes without producing its effects, and there is no effect that does not have an appropriate cause. The idea is to posit a necessary relation between actions in this life, previous birth, and rebirth in the next. Since many of our actions seem to go unrewarded in the present life, and many evil actions go unpunished, it seems reasonable to suppose that such consequences, if they do not arise in this life, must arise in the next. Karma carries the belief that differences in the fortunes and the misfortunes of individual lives, to the extent they are not adequately explicable by known circumstances in this life, must be due to unknown causes which can only be actions done in their former lives. And there is a special concept that describes these unknown causes, and this concept is ADR If I pronounce this concept correctly, this ADR means that causes, such kind of unknown causes, can shape our destiny in the future lives and can carry some influences of our actions which done in our former lives. And our second concept is moksha, and the etymology of moksha can be related to the release or to free. It is also a Sanskrit word, and it comes from the muk, M-U-C. And accordingly, it signifies freedom, release, as I said. But which kind of freedom, you can ask me? It is not related to the political freedom, for example. It is related to the freedom from bondage, freedom from contingency, and so on. We can say that such kind of freedom or release can be related to the metaphysical phenomenon. Okay. And what's about basic meaning? What can we say about this matter? Moksha means spiritual freedom, as I said before, freedom from the cycles of bondage, freedom from the mundane existence, and the realization of the state of bliss. It is the highest value in its most perfect form, a state of excellence, the highest good, which cannot be transcended, and when attained, leaves nothing else to be desired. And moksha in a historical context, okay, all schools of Indian philosophy, except for Charvaka, accept moksha. We know that there are 9 schools in the traditional Indian philosophy, and only one of them, uh, which named as the Charvaka, didn't accept moksha. However, each school developed its own conception of moksha and demonstrated the possibility of moksha. And moksha, that is impossibility of moksha, then becomes a material of non-formal fallacy, which, for a philosophical position, is more serious than a formal logical fallacy, belonging to the domain of logical argumentation. And there is a special name for non-formal fallacy in the Indian philosophy. It is named as the Hetvabhasas. Hetvabhasas. If I pronounce it correctly, it is also a Sanskrit word, and it is related to the non-formal fallacy, but it is not the same as we can see from the informal logic. Okay. And our next concept is Dharma, or we can pronounce it as Dharma. And the term Dharma is derived from the Sanskrit root dhr, meaning to sustain, to support, to uphold, to nourish, etc. It can exactly translate it in several ways. Okay. And what's about basic meaning? Dharma signifies the harmonious course of things. At times, it refers to a necessary attribute. For example, the dharma of water is to flow, the dharma of the sun is to shine, and so on. At other times, it can be related to the religion, and still at other times, it refers to duty in its normative aspect. And the dharma in the last sense means the rules and laws which individuals should follow. In short, Dharma is the Hindu counterpart of Western moral duty. What we can say about the Western moral duty can also be attributed to the Dharma. Of course, I don't mean that Dharma has exactly the same meaning as the moral duty, but somehow we can find some similarities between these two concepts. Okay, and what's about Dharma? What can we add about the content of this concept? And an important note about Dharma, let's analyze this aspect. Dharma in the long run cannot bring to a human being the ultimate freedom of moksha, which is his or her constant sacred aspiration. Dharma is still caught up in the order of karma, rebirth, and within that order promises to humans better and happier lives. Dharma are only stepping stones, always pointing beyond themselves, never reaching a resting place, because each world, no matter how much happier and better, is still within the clutches of the dark ontological ground of karma or rebirth, and contains the same distant telos of moksha on the horizon. And what's telos? It is related to the ultimate goal of something, And in this context, it means the ultimate goal of the moksha, that is, freedom from the mundane existence, from the bondages, and so on. Okay, that's all for today's discussion. If you have got any questions, you can address them on the section of comments. I'll be very glad to answer them. See you in our later videos. Thank you for watching.